It's week 5 of the NFL. We give you our 3 best bets for this Sunday, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com, and we're coming off a great week 4, going 4-1 with our free picks on our YouTube channel. We have 3 more NFL best bets for Sunday to give out. But first, if you are new to Grandstand Bettors, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our NFL free picks, free predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button to starting off week number 5 with an easy winner with the Rams minus 2.5 there on Thursday night. But it's finally time for another fun-filled afternoon of NFL football. So without further ado, let's dive in to our best bets of week number 5 in the NFL. And our first game, we're going to start looking at the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1 p.m. time slot. This game is a 1-point favor for the Broncos. The over-under is set very low at 39.5. Broncos coming in this game, picking up their first loss of the season last week, having lost to Baltimore 23-7. They not only lost the game, but they lost their starting QB, Teddy Bridgewater, in that game to a concussion. However, Bridgewater did enter Phase 3 of concussion protocol, did practice Friday. We're just going to assume that with his progression, he does play on Sunday against the Steelers. Now, Bridgewater, before he went down last Sunday, was having a phenomenal season this far, throwing for about 800 yards and 5 touchdowns with no interceptions, doing a nice job hanging on to the ball. The Broncos' passing success has really stemmed from using all available targets. In 3 of the 4 games, he has used 8 different receivers to catch a pass, and in 3 of the 4 games, 4 different receivers have caught 3 or more passes. So Bridgewater is utilizing the whole field, and that's really translated into wins for the Broncos. Now, the rushing game of the Broncos is a 2-headed monster with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams getting mostly equal shares each game of the ball. Now, you could even say it's a 3-headed monster if you add Bridgewater's running threat as well. They have all led the Broncos to an 11th ranked rushing offense so far this season with over 110 yards per game. Now, they will face a good run defense in Pittsburgh, who has yet to give up a 100-yard rusher on the season. Speaking of those Steelers, they have probably been the most underachieving team in the NFL thus far. They come into this game with a 1-3 record with an offense that hasn't done anything this season. Let's look at some of the numbers the Steelers are putting up. They are 28th ranked in points per game at 16.8. They are dead last in the league rushing the football with 55.2 yards per game, and they rank 27th overall in total yards. They're barely averaging 300 yards per game. Big Ben has struggled this year, throwing for over 1,000 yards with 4 TDs, but he also has thrown 4 interceptions and has a passer rating of 78.9. To be fair, though, Roethlisberger, and it's very hard to get a passing game going when you don't have any running game or a running game that basically is non-existent. The Steelers thought they were getting the best player in the draft with Najee Harris, but he has rushed for 55 times and only gained 185 yards. Now, it's not all his fault. The offensive line is awful. They haven't been great. There's been holes, injuries, but still, 55 yards in a rushing game is an embarrassment through 4 games. They've used Harris a lot in the receiving game as a check down for obvious reasons. He has 26 receptions, which actually leads the team in receptions. You know things aren't going well if your running back is leading the team in receptions, so things aren't going to get any easier here for the Steelers this week as they go up against a great passing defense, one that allows less than 200 yards per game. However, let's not overreact with the early success of the Broncos and their statistical numbers. They started the season 3-0, beating the Giants, Jets, and Jags. Those teams are a combined 2-10 on the season. The eye tells you that they get another cakewalk here this week with the Steelers, but let's be honest, this is probably the second best team they're facing this season, at least on paper. Also, let's not overreact to the Steelers' early woes. They've played some very good teams who have a combined record of 12-4 on the season, and their defense is in the top half of the league in points allowed. This game, it's being played in Heinz Field, and let's be honest, both teams are a little banged up, maybe without multiple key players, and as this game, as mostly a pick'em game, it comes down to really who wants it more, and in all honesty, we think that experience is going to be a huge part of this game, and we're going to lean always on experience. I'm sure many people are not going to agree with us on this one, but our first pick of NFL Week number 5 is the Steelers +1. Our second bet of NFL Week 5 is going to be the Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders matchup in the 4 o'clock time slot. The Bears travel to Vegas as 5.5-point underdogs, and the over-under is set at 45. Bears are 2-2 on the season. An Andy Dalton project that started in Chicago is already over. Matt Nagy announced that Justin Fields would be the starting QB moving forward from this point on. Fields coming off his second career start in a victory, and his first victory in the NFL against the Lions last week. The Bears do not need Fields to be a superstar QB. Repeat that. He does not need to be a superstar QB right out of the gate. They just need to manage the game, limit his mistakes, and if he can do that, he's going to give the Bears a very good opportunity to win week in and week out. Now, that's exactly what he did last week versus the Lions. He went 11 for 17, throwing for 209 yards, and he did throw an interception, but he managed the game well, and it's a huge improvement over his first career start, 6 for 20 for 68 yards against the Browns a couple weeks ago. Really, what looks like the winning formula for the Bears and their young QB is going to be the ability to run the football. Last week, David Montgomery had a great game, rushing 23 times for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Damian Williams also had 55 yards on 8 carries and a touchdown. The Bears, they need to have a similar game plan against the Raiders this week if they want to have a chance. Because Vegas, they are in the bottom third of the league with a run defense that gives up 132 yards per game on the ground. And the Bears, they need to exploit this early and go against that Raiders pass defense open up that Raiders pass defense that's a little bit better. They've only given up 5 TDs all season long, and they've only allowed 229 yards passing per game. If the Bears cannot get the ground game working, it's going to be a very long afternoon in Vegas for Fields and company. Now, Derek Carr, John Gruden, they come into this game 3-1 after dropping the AFC Showdown with the Chargers on Monday Night Football 28-14. Remember, we had the Chargers in that, so another nice winner this week. Carr had a very rough night passing the ball, consistently missing his targets, and ending 21 for 34 for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns and an interception. Now, Carr and the Raiders, they threw the ball much more than anticipated, and it really stemmed on the lack of a running game they had against, at the time, what was the worst ranked running team defense in the NFL. They only managed 48 total rushing yards for the game on 18 carries. That was awful against that Chargers awful run defense. Now, Jacobs was returning from an injury in that game, so we don't know if that had anything to do with it, as he only averaged 3.1 yards per carry, or if the Chargers just had a really good game plan. Regardless, the Raiders need to find a way to get that running game going, but it's going to be hard against a decent run defense with the Chicago Bears. Overall, Chicago has a very middle-of-the-road defense in general. They are giving up about 22 points per game. Although you would think with a good back in Josh Jacobs establishing the run and using play action to the advantage, the game plan of the Raiders would be to have a balanced attack. But in all honesty, it looks like John Gruden and company threw out the rushing attack before the season even started. The Raiders have been averaging over 42 passing attempts per game, and that includes a 56 pass attempt, 400-yard performance for Carr in week 1 against the Ravens. So, look, the Raiders, they're going to put up points at home. We know that. They've been averaging 32 points per game there this season. The real question for this game is, can rookie quarterback Justin Fields and the Bears offense, what can they do against that Raiders defense? If Fields can manage the game and not make any mistakes, it is very easy to think that the Bears can put up at least 2 touchdowns and a field goal. With the Raiders airing it out and the possibility of them getting up early in this game and forcing the Bears to do the same with Fields, we think there's a strong possibility that this game could be some big highlighted scoring plays. Also, Carr at home, this guy, he always has one mistake that costs his team, and he's going to share some bad mistakes and some bad decisions with Field or in Vegas this Sunday. So there could be some easy pick sixes or some special teams touchdowns here as well. So with everything said, I know it's a lot. Our second pick of NFL week number 5 is going to be the Bears-Raiders over 45. Now with our final pick, and we'll keep it short here on our final pick, we're going to look at the matchup between San Francisco 49ers and Arizona Cardinals. Kickoff for this game is 4:25 Eastern, with the spread being 5.5 to Arizona, and the over-under set at 48.5. Cardinals coming in this game 4-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. Their offense has been fantastic. They're averaging 440 yards per game and 35 points. It could be a long day for the 49ers defense if they don't figure out a way to stop Kyler Murray. Murray's thrown for over 1,200 yards this season and 9 touchdowns, while also rushing for already 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. One drawback, though, of Murray this season, he's still young, and he still makes bad decisions and has those occasional turnovers, like the 4 INTs that he does have this season. Now, the Cardinals rank in the top 5 in yards, passing yards, rushing yards, and points per game. The rushing attack with Chase Edmonds has been great so far. Edmonds is averaging almost 6 yards a carry. However, he has yet to find the end zone, but that could change this week. In the passing game, Murray's spraying the ball out as Kirk and Green have more yards than DeAndre Hopkins early on in the season, and it's very tough to guard this team. Against a 49ers defense here that's lacking some speed this year, we don't see how the Cardinals don't put up 3 or 4 touchdowns in this one. Now, the 49ers coming into this game having lost their second straight one against the Seahawks last week, 28-21. They not only lost the game, but lost their starting QB, Garoppolo, as he was knocked out with an injury. 49ers fans, though, may have found a silver lining in that loss as Trey Lance came in, threw for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns with no INTs to finish off that game. 49ers started out this season by putting up 41 points against the Lions, and in all their games, they have scored at least 17 points and have over 375 yards per game. Although several of their running backs this year have been injured, Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon have stepped in nicely to keep defenses a little honest and not solely defend the pass against the 49ers. Now, Trey Lance will have his work cut out for him because the Cardinals' defense is much more dangerous this year than in recent years. Chandler Jones having a phenomenal season so far at linebacker, and their new addition, J.J. Watt, has provided a big presence up front for them. However, they are giving up more yardage per game than the 49ers defense, and their run defense ranks 7th worst in the league. Now, they might have to defend against Lance running the ball as well, and that could be an issue for the Cardinals defense and probably create some play-action opportunities for the 49ers down the field, and that could lead to some massive plays for that offense. So, unless something very unusual happens in this game, the Cardinals, they're going to put up 20 points at least with the way their offense has been playing. And with this game being a divisional matchup, the 49ers with Trey Lance, they're not going to go down without a fight here. Trey Lance, 100% starting this game. It might take him a couple possessions to get things going, but against a defense that lacks guarding the run, Lance will have the opportunity to actually open this game up on his own. Although, mostly behind Jimmy G, the 49ers were averaging 26 points per game and can move the ball down the field quickly. With the way the Cardinals are putting points up on the board, this one's going to have to be a shootout for the 49ers to have any chance here of staying with the Cardinals. So, our final pick of week number 5 is going to be Cardinals 49ers over 48.5 points. That's it for us guys here at Grandstand Bettors. We're going to be live streaming the Browns-Chargers game on Sunday at 4 p.m. And our Monday Night Football pick is going to be coming out Sunday night at halftime of the Sunday Night Football game. We're 7-2 on our primetime picks, so make sure you check that out and see what our Monday Night Football pick is. As always, though, sit back, relax, enjoy Week 5 of the NFL, and we'll see you next week.